killed last Friday. Turning into the scenic area. Going up Bear Mountain. Is that B-E-A-R or B-A-R-E? Route 202, Route 6, here's where we almost get killed, going into the scenic area. DOT really has to do something about that. Look at that. Now this is Friday, August 31st. Goodbye, August. You were a wonderful month. You were a lovely month. Many, 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 many nice memories of August, year 2001. Rain is predicted for tonight. Bear Mountain Bridge. Route 202 and Route 6. And 9 miles to Cold Spring. The mighty Hudson River. The American flag. They built a new house down here. Something to do with the toll bridge. And it's in Dutch style. Right there, you see the roof? Covered up by the bridge. West Point, Newburgh. This is the Palisades Interstate Parkway, New Jersey, New York. It's a brand new plant a couple years ago. It was built by TKR. West Nyack, New York, across the Hudson River, Rockland. Tappan Zee Bridge, Rockland County to Westchester County. Noon 15. Last day of August, 2001. It's so smoggy you can't see the Hudson River. We're headed for the errands in White Plains. 12 envelopes at Staples to mail out at Glendora every week. And we went to Kmart. And this is the return of service by the United States Marshal Service. When you're an informer pauperous in the federal court by Title 28, Section 1915, the United States Marshal Service does the service of the complaint and the summons for you. And these are very, very interesting. This is the case of Glendora versus Jackie Sellers, a person in Washington, D.C. who doesn't know enough to play public access programs that are sent to her. And see, there's the cost of the service. This was on Robert Callaghan, the liar for hire of Cablevision. Probably the worst lawyer there is. Certainly the worst defense counsel. And so that charged $53 at 230 Park Avenue at the Pan Am building. Okay, let's see what else we've got. This is the Callaghan Law Firm, a bunch of crooks, Satterley, Stevens, Burke, and Burke at 230 Park Avenue. Now, this one is on Christine Savarino at Harrison, Cablevision Harrison, for limiting and prohibiting public access and making it so difficult for public access producers to exercise their right to have their programs on TV. This one is on Maurice Cunningham, who is a liar for hire for Charles Dolan, Napoleon, who is the part of the army forcing people to follow these rules. They really aren't rules, these restrictions. This one is on Brian McNeil, and I can't figure out whether it's been served on Brian or not. He works for Cablevision. He came over from Hop Hog. Diane Bennett. This is U.S. Marshal Service on Brenda Cherry in Yonkers Cablevision. Robert S. Lemley is the Cablevision water boy for Charles Dolan and James Dolan. Executive Vice President, I guess, and President now, I guess, and so-called counsel. He's not much counsel, he doesn't know the law. And the service on him cost $53. And so the U.S. Marshal Service bills the United States government for this service. Now, every one of these defendants should pay for this service. $53 service on Marilyn Jackson at Brooklyn Cable TV. BCAT. And on Charles A. Former, that Cablevision. I don't know, I've run out of names to call him. He's just a terrible person. You know Charles A. Former, I described him to you enough and told you enough about him. This one is on James L. Dolan, Charles Dolan's son, to whom Charles Dolan this year, or last year really, gave $3 million. Charles Dolan gave himself $3 million, and he gave James Dolan $3 million. And what do they want? To go up on your cable rates, you see. And how do they use the money? Not for you. Guess for whom? Now this is Cablevision Systems Corporation at 1111 Stewart Avenue, the property on which they pay no taxes. You have to pay taxes, but they don't. And that service costs $53. Now this is very interesting. Glendora had the United States Marshal serve Charles F. Dolan. And it was Mrs. Charles F. Dolan, or Helen, who took the service from the Marshal. And the address is at 119 Cove Neck Road, Oyster Bay, New York, 11771. This is service on Nicole Gordine, another cheater at Brooklyn Public Access, BCAT. And Omar Malik, so-called operations manager. The people at BCAT cheat on a chat with Glendora, find every way they can to keep it off of TV. That one is Domingo Martin, the worst of all, the one who tortured and tormented me for 2 hours on August 17th. Remember the long program we did on that? And this one is Onita Coward Mayers, who doesn't know what access is all about, and we'll have to put these people in prison before they learn that public access producers have rights. And this is the board of Brooklyn Community Access Television, BCAT. And this is on Amy Van Horn, who has now moved from Woodbury to Hauppauge for violating first come, first serve. I was there first let's say almost 10 years ago. And nobody just coming on can be called first served, first come. I was there first. I have to be served first. That's the law. Federal, municipal, state. I have to be served first. And these people violated that. And this is Mac Budil, who is some kind of an ogre who comes up with all these crazy rules and all these violations of the law. Of course, the leader is Charles F. Dolan. He's the Napoleon. So that's service by the United States Marshals, and most of this service was during the end of July. So that's very, very interesting, and that's going to go into the New Mexico lawsuit, into that file. It's a horrible thing. This paper by Albert LeBrun. And he says, in the state named above as we're full of surprises, well, guess what the biggest surprises are? Who are the new bunch of criminals? Judges of the Connecticut Supreme Court, judges of the Connecticut Appellate Court, judges of the Connecticut Supreme Court. How would you like to be in court and have them administer the law in a court of justice when they are a bunch of criminals themselves? What have we been telling you? It's not only true in New York and in all the federal cases I filed all around the country, Detroit, Detroit, Houston, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Boston, but now you see it's true in Connecticut. Crooked Judge Hammer told victim LeBrun, this is Albert LeBrun, at 911 Foster Street Extension, South Windsor, Connecticut, during the fraudulent trial in September 1995, that LeBrun does not have freedom of speech in his courtroom. But outside of his courtroom, LeBrun has full freedom of speech, and I am planning to use it, says LeBrun. Look at the 17 pages of documents and read all italic explanations and comments. Then you will realize that I am telling the truth. South Windsor, Connecticut. Well, here's all of the pages. What this poor man has been through. And I will read you his first page. Please, I am begging the Patriot Organization for any help they could provide LeBrun in this scheme of extortion. In Connecticut, between 300 and 100 attachments a week were done in the 80s and 90s. Most, if not all of them, were done illegally without commencing a civil action in court, in violation of the United States Constitution, the Connecticut Constitution, and the Connecticut General Statutes. Judges, lawyers, clerks of the court, sheriffs belong to an organization by the name of Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, RICO. I think it should be Racketeering Influence Crime Organization. See Connecticut General Statute on Prejudgment Remedy Attachment included, index page 1198, Connecticut Commencement of Action with 52-278CA, which is with a prejudgment remedy attachment. And then see pages 327 and 328. There are two summons that have to be served. One of them commanded the sheriff or constable to serve, but that does not commence a civil action. The other one is the one for the commencement of a civil action. They don't serve that one for the commencement of a civil action, and due to the fact that they don't have a legitimate case against you. The crooks protect themselves against a counterclaim or set off which allows triple damages. The whole idea behind it is to attach all your real estate properties, then to perform an act of extortion against you. I'll show you why I'm having such a hard time reading this. The TV camera can see it better than I can. How would any of you like to be put in jail by those criminals? See also page 12 of documents served to LeBrun and Form 101.6 from Connecticut Practice Book. If any one of you could help me in any way you can with your moral and financial support or your legal experience for going after the crooks, I would be very generous to you when this is over and I win a large amount of money that I deserve. Thank you, Albert LeBrun, 911 Foster Street Extension, South Windsor, Connecticut. So you see, isn't that an awful thing? They came to evict him 3 times and they haven't evicted him yet. So this is going on all over the world, so I make sure that you know about this. Now, I helped Mr. LeBrun get on cable TV in Cox Cable TV in Manchester, Connecticut. It covers 6 towns around there. And I helped him get his story on there, and I hope that he's getting that done. There were 20 pieces of in-mail Friday, August 31st. 2 of them were philosophic, the 2 Social Security checks. Social Security Day is a happy day. And it has resulted in about 10 details that have to be done over there. And it resulted in about 11 legal papers. One of them was finally Sue L. Robinson in the United States District Court, District of Delaware, finally dismissed Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan, James Dolan, and Robert Lendley for let them get by with breaking the New York State shareholders law, business corporation law, and the Delaware law of corporations, shareholders law. Just let them get away with it. A cop-out. And that paper is being written, and when it's completed, it will be read to you. Now, McKelvey in the same court dismissed the action against Ishvan Kasari, Ilona Gabor, Van Kasari Jr., and Agnes Kasari. And he dismissed the action against that incompetent judge in New Rochelle City Court, Preston Scher, and against the incompetent clerk. They're not so much as incompetent as they are dishonest. Generoso, you know, like charging me $40 for trial. I never should have to be charged $40 for trial. You know, that's a right. And then when the trial didn't have to happen, keeping the $40, doing things like that. And that Neanderthal court officer in New Rochelle, whose conduct is totally antithetical to that of a peace officer. So this crazy Judge McKelvey in the Delaware court, after doing nothing with it for 2 years, dismissed it. And he is being severely excoriated, and you will hear that when that's done. It is in the process of being written. The evangelicals have gone after Charles Dolan again. They're a big group of people. So when the evangelicals start picketing or start boycotting, the Wiz, the Rangers, the Knicks, New York, the Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall, when they start boycotting those, Mr. Dolan's going to feel it. And then the FCC bombed out on protecting the public's right to see the public access file and the least access file. That's a mess. And when that is being refuted at the moment, and when it's done, I will read that to you. Portland, Oregon, Multinoma TV and Jackie Grace put up a stupid so-called defense of the court didn't have any jurisdiction over them because they're in Portland, Oregon, and the court is in New Mexico. It's a phony and a specious argument, and it's really stupid. So that is being contested. And then Satterley got out a paper, but that's all wrong because Satterley is the defendant. Satterley can only appear for itself pro se or hire a lawyer to appear for Satterley. It cannot defend the other defendants, the co-defendants. That would be Charles Dolan and James Dolan, etc. A matter of justice is an extremely strong and important movement in the United States. People all over the United States have got the same kind of treatment in the courts that has been reported on the chat with Glendora for years, and they are fed up with it. And so they are forming an umbrella organization. The crazy Ninth Circuit in San Francisco, they have my notice of appeal there against that Judge Singleton in Alaska, and they say they don't have an informer pauperis. Well, they do, and form, and so, but I will just send them another one. File pageant, 8 hours and dollars. That's being done. Okay. Now, some jokes. The lawyer says, "It gives me a grand and glorious feeling to dispense legal advice." And his client says, "Right, you give him a grand and he feels glorious." There was a collision of two cars. The third car pulled up. A man got out. He went to the scene of the accident and he said, "I saw the whole thing happen. I'm a lawyer. I'll take either side." And if you cannot find a lawyer who knows the law, for heaven's sakes, find a lawyer who knows the judge. Doris Wallace is keeping up her fight against the Nassau County Board of Assessors for doing her wrong. So we continue to encourage her on that. I had to go to two churches Sunday. The first Sunday I was here, I went to the Baptist church. And then the second Sunday, I went to the Reformed church, and third, fourth, and fifth, I went to the Reformed church. And I always felt bad about not going back to the Baptist church because they were such nice people. So I went back to them, and I told them I was sorry I didn't come back. And then they made me feel worse that I hadn't come back. So I went to the 9:30 service at the Reformed church, and then I was able to get into some of the 11 o'clock service at the Baptist church. It's tough. They're very nice people at both places. I think Franklin is progressing steadily. Katie, both Katie and Penny are asleep. In such comfort in there with him. And I believe this is a chat with Glendora up to date until those legal papers get written and have to be read to you. Today's to-do sheet, would you like to see it? Has 46 jobs on it. The red check marks are done. Rusty is doing okay. Rusty needs a place for the winter, though. He needs to be kept warm in the winter time. So keep the courage flaming. We'll see you in a bit. Good morning, folks. It's Thursday, 61 degrees, September 6th. This is the evangelical churches, and they're going after Dolan for limiting and prohibiting public access. And this is their letter to Cablevision. And as you can see, I did my interlinears and my marginalia, and I sent it off to the Universal Evangelistic Ministries and to Charles Dolan. And Glendora asked 6 people at the Public Service Commission to sponsor her program in the Albany, Schenectady, Troy area, and they all refused. So that shows you what the Public Service Commission, how much they're interested in the public and public access. This sponsorship is nothing but an eliminator to get rid of public access and use the channel for commercials, greedy cable TV operators. Also, it strictly violates New York state law. No cable operator shall, quote, limit or prohibit, unquote, public access. And that's the Public Service Law, 229C. It is ravenously against Title 9 New York Code Rules and Regulations, Section 595.4. You have to sue these Dolan lawbreakers, including Cunningham. You can end up owning their houses. Goldberg has just defeated Dolan in court again, and that's 2 victories over Dolan. Glendora defeated him in 1995, so that's 3. Go to it. Sue them. And here are more. Yeah. Glendora defeated him in 1995, so that's 3. Go to it. Sue them. And here are more refutations and additions to what has been said. The service list is Galgano, Charles F. Dolan, Glendora TV audience. That's you. The Center for Judicial Accountability, Incorporated, Cunningham. Cunning is right. In the New Mexico court. Dolan killed public access TV production in Yorktown, also in Brookhaven, also in Riverhead. 20 towns in Westchester do not receive system-wide public access. Dolan keeps them on the medieval stages. Dolan was just served by the United States Marshals in Glendora versus Sellers, Dolan et al. He should be put in jail. And this is Glendora's response to Cunningham's letter from Cablevision, that it's all rhetoric. And so that takes care of that legal paper. And we'll just file that in the Dolan drawer. Well, Dolan has 7 file drawers. That's how many laws he's broken. Dolan has 7 file drawers. That's how many laws he's broken. I have to go now and get the left front brake of the 1993 fixed. It's worn out. I'm worn out too. Excuse me. There's a cat. I have to show you a cat when a cat's available. Now, you heard the conversation with Davenport at the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. I was complaining that Cablevision doesn't show me the least access file, and they do not show me the public access file. And she was saying, oh, well, they don't have to show you the least access file anymore, and you can go around and get the information, so and so. And so this is the letter that she wrote me. And I asked her to send. All right, if you've changed the law, of course, in favor of the cable cooperators, send it to me, the changes. So this is what she sent me. I don't wonder it makes the camera go out of focus. Marge Davenport. This is in response to our telephone conversation concerning lease and public access channels. Specifically, you wanted to know whether a cable operator is required to place information on these channels in the public file. I appreciate the opportunity to respond. That isn't what I wanted to know. I think they are. What I wanted to know, what I wanted was for her to make them do it. And Glendora says, this is diametric to what you told me over the phone. Over the phone you said cable operators did not have to expose the least access files, but do have to expose the public access files. First, second paragraph. There is no federal requirement that information concerning public access channels be placed in the public file. However, there is a federal requirement concerning least access channels. See, that's just the opposite of what you said over the phone. Pursuant to Commission Rule 47 CFR 761707, a cable operator who adopts and enforces a written policy concerning indecent programming on least access channels may satisfy the requirement that the policy be published, quote unquote, by placing the written policy in the public file. Further, Glendora asked you to send her a copy of the revised rules you mentioned, and you did not. As Glendora said to you over the phone, she is very disappointed in the FCC, yea, even angry. You have made her even more so. The FCC is a patsy. You protect cable operators when your raison d'etre is there to protect the public. Why? It is because the cable operators give you money. Charles Dolan gave George Bush $250,000 so your bread is buttered on the face-up. We know, you know we know, and we know you know we know. If you will not send me the revisions, could someone else please do so? You did not call Cablevision and tell them to show me the files. You sneaked away with no mention of it. Dated September 4, 2001, Anno Domini, Woodbury, New York. Yours, Glendora. FCC is anti-public and pro-business. Lobby money. Election money. Service list, Glendora TV audience. Center for Judicial Accountability, Colin Powell, Davenport, and Charles F. Dolan. Her last paragraph is, I hope that this response will prove to be helpful and informative. It was neither. I guess we'll put that in the Dolan file too. As I told you, Dolan has 7 file drawers. He's broken so many laws. Takes so much advantage of the public. Well, just a quick synopsis of Rena Raji, Evil Eastern District of New York, Brooklyn, Federal Court, Glendora versus Lemley. Glendora versus Robert S. Lemley, CSC Holdings Incorporated, Cablevision Systems Corporation. Its chairman, Charles F. Dolan, its CEO, James L. Dolan, its board of directors, its officers, its management, David Deitch, Charles A. Former, Deborah, Kathleen, and Mary Ann Dolan, Lemley's secretary and security, Robert M. Callagy, Satterley, Stevens, Burke, and Burt, Cablevision Political Action Committee, John C. Malone, the estate of Bob Magnus, Telecommunications Incorporated, Richard Wadman, John Wicker, Ben Wiles, Joshua and Koenig, Paul Rapp, Baker and Botts, Bertram Perkle, Joseph Kern, Ann Salisbury, William C. Connor, Jed S. Rakoff, Mark D. Fox, Barbara S. Jones, Amalia Kurse, Jose Cabranes, Denny Chin, Charles L. Bryant, Thomas A. Tormey, U.S. West, Media One, Archibald McCormick, Richard McCormick, Charles Lillis, Thomas E. Waltz III, Joan M. Azrak, Robert M. Levy, Edgardo Ramos, William Brennan, Philip Bigger, defendants, a whole bunch of crooks. And this wretched Raji let them all get by. She removed the case from the State Supreme Court, Nassau Supreme Court, where I filed it. She drew the case under her wings in the Brooklyn court, and she protected her friends, the so-called federal defendants. She protected them, covered up for them, dismissed the case. And then she wrote an order to Glendora to prosecute the case, or it would be dismissed. Well, I had fully prosecuted the case. She's the one who didn't do the prosecution. And so I sent her a Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1915 informa pauperis form. When you're informa pauperis, when you're a poor person, the United States Marshal Service serves the summons and complaint. So I made out the form, I sent it back to her, and I said, please sign this order. Oh, she didn't do that. Here's what she did. Pathetic. This is so pathetic. In light of the dismissal of Glendora's claims against the federal defendants, the court hereby transfers the case back to the Supreme Court of the State of New York, Nassau County. The court notes that it makes no finding as to whether the remaining defendants were properly served. The clerk of the court is hereby ordered to mark the case closed. See how crooked they are, these federal judges? There's not one good federal judge. So ordered. Dated Brooklyn, New York, August 21st, 2001. Rena Raji. What a bunch of junk. Now, there's a few things wrong with this. Several pages, several days. And this is Glendora's memorandum that Rena Raji fails the United States of America. Gotcha. Glendora, gotcha. The 28 U.S. Code, Section 1950, gotcha. You ran away. You betrayed the country, and you slithered away. And you slithered away. You failed your duty and your oath, and you couldn't stand it. You obstructed justice, and you beat it. This is just another Eastern District of New York hack like Nickerson, Levy, Azraq, Corman, Gershon, Ramos, Goldberger, anti-U.S. attorney one after another. This is a cop-out. Raji simply ignored Glendora's motions because Raji could not handle the truth, insane, the Americanism, insane, the effective and efficacious something of the courts, of the business of the courts, insane. Raji has gone into the Who to Sue file. Both she and her no-experienced hack law clerks. What Raji did is taxpayer fraud. A former assistant U.S. attorney, what else can one expect other than collusion, bias, prejudgment? It is a sick racket. This is the gangsterhood into which the United States government has fallen. You will think I'm going to have fallen off this chair. This Raji and her crew of amateurs are the same odious civil RICO that is and was Glendora's cause of action. You will be exhibited on TV exactly for what you are, a gangsterhood. One is to sue. Two is to expose on TV. Voila. Three is to picket. Four is to propel a 372 C1 Title 28 judicial misconduct complaint. It is Raji who failed to prosecute, not Glendora. Raji failed to adjudicate. Indeed, she failed in every way a judge could fail. Raji stole the cause from State Supreme Court, took care of her buddies, then dumped the zilch that was left back onto State Supreme Court. Shame on you. Hollow courtroom, hollow black robes. And here, taxpayers are being defrauded out of $300 million to build these gangsters a new courthouse. If Raji was in doubt as to the service on the defendants, then she had no choice. and she had no jurisdiction. We're up to page 8. Then she couldn't dismiss. Then she cannot remand. She has no authority to do anything that she did. Here is a judge who broke every law on removal, Title 28 U.S. Code sections 1441 to 1449. Here is a judge who broke more laws than all of the 40 defendants. This has to go into the Guinness Book of Records. Raji could not deal with the well-pleaded complaint. She and her sophomoric law clerks were impotent. Raji never dealt with the issues. She eschewed them all. Raji is in default. She did not do her duty on Rule 53 default judgment. This is a plain crookedness. What is your life worth when you get up in the morning and deliberately, knowingly, willfully, and maliciously betray America and Americans? But former assistant U.S. attorneys don't know that. They have gone to dehumanization school. Herein is another sold to Mephisto. We know what you are doing with your and with the lives of others. We know that you know that we know. Raji repetitively failed to serve all parties. She served the assistant U.S. attorney, and that's it. The incestuous ring. No other defendants were served. So there's 4 things to do, folks. What are they? Tell me what they are. Right. 1, you sue. 2, you expose them on TV. 3, you picket. And 4, you file a judicial misconduct complaint about them. Title 28 U.S. Code 372, C1. And this is dated White Plains, New York, August 3rd. Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora. Service list is Michael H. Brown. He will do the informal process. Center for Judicial Accountability, Glendora TV audience. You, the most important. Raji Lynch is the new cheapest, the cheap and dirty U.S. Attorney, the Eastern District, and Orrin Hatch. What do you... I believe that's the end of it. So there you have another one. No good. United States District Court. No good. Now, I stopped in at the Nassau County Supreme Court Tuesday after editing, and also after fighting with Lincoln Mercury. I love their new car, their used cars. I love the cars that they sell. The Lincoln that we have is just beautiful. That's Franklin Box. But I hate their service. Rip off with a capital R and a capital O. Rip off. And I got mad or angry, and I told him. And I told Eric that I wasn't going to put up with that, and that I would talk to Mark. And then I came up here, and I got the brakes done for $190. They wanted like $300, $400, $500 for it. And I got somebody to open the door. It's going to be $150. They wanted something like $300, $400 for it. And the curving lens on the driver's front. I think somebody took the lens to get their car, to get his or her car inspected. That's usually what happens. Oh, anyway, I was telling you, I went to the Nassau Supreme Court. Helen is retired. Helen Teddy Bear is retired. She's moved to Pennsylvania with her children. Fran Cardone is over in Images, and she's going to retire next year. Barbara's still in the clerk's office where you go to get the files, and Virginia is still in the clerk's office where you bring things in and have them stamped. And I didn't find my other friend. She was on break. That's too bad. She's a loyal Chat with Glendora watcher. And Virginia had received that very day certified this lousy so-called order of Rena Raji that the case was transferred, or remanded, I should say, to the state court. 2 dogs had moved in next door. They're cute. One is named Sparky, and the other one is named Shadow. I know 2 dogs named Shadow. Jackie's dog is named Shadow. And from the Nassau Supreme Court, it's such a long ride. I went out to Woodbury. Diane was on the telephone. Bob wasn't there. Nobody had put the tapes out. V was her usual charming and entertaining self. I went to the Woodbury post office. I couldn't wait for them to get me the tapes. They have a good bathroom. The soap is lavender, lilac. It smells so good. And then the 85-mile drive, and I hate that tie-up from Glen Cove Road to Lakeville Road, and it's there every night. So I'm just going to change things around. I'm not going to go to Woodbury. I'm going to try to do it by mail. There are 7 legal papers behind. Very interesting ones. New Mexico Court, the Portland defendants. New Mexico Court, the Satterley defendants. And then, of course, the Delaware Court, Robinson and Casari and McKelvey. Okie doke. This is a letter from Doris Wallace. And they let Charles, and I wrote back to her and told her, they let Charles Dolan have tax-free. The property at 1111 Stewart Road in Bethpage is worth $30 million in taxes. And then they plague a senior citizen like Doris Wallace. So she's going to keep fighting, give her credit. And I'll fight right along beside her. So we'll put that in the file for September. And that brings you up to date at 12:20 p.m. on a perfect weather day. Perfect weather. September the 6th, 2001. Anno Domini. And your jokes, you gotta have your jokes. You wrote about the lawyer, said, before I take your case, I will need a $300 retainer fee that entitles you to 2 questions. And the client said, $300 for 2 questions, isn't that expensive? The lawyer says, I suppose it is. What's your second question? And the lawyer said to the judge, I want a new trial on the basis of new evidence. And the judge says, what's the new evidence? And the lawyer said, I just found out my client has another $15,000. You knew that Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Frankie? How does that rhyme? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Said the lawyer, the bricks on the wall were loose. We've got a good case, so we'll sue Mother Goose. If you have the law on your side, hammer the law. If you have the facts on your side, hammer the facts. If you don't have either on your side, hammer the table. And how can a lawyer write a document of 10,000 words and call it a brief? Okay. See ya. Keep the courage flaming. Kmart is the first stop to get Franklin an electric blanket. We made it in an hour, 10:07 a.m. The electric blankets for this year aren't in. What they had was marked down from last year, and I think it was pretty good. It was $89 and $54, but they didn't have a twin size, so I had to get a queen size. Well, we'll see. Return the pillow. And bought Franklin a flashlight for the night time when he wakes up in bed. He needs a flashlight. And Sony VHS or 5 for $6. You can do better at the dollar store. It was convenient. Saves gas and saves time. And Pepsodent. Bob Hope's Pepsodent, the original. And Franklin doesn't like anything but the original. 87 cents. So I bought Franklin 6 of them. Now we go to White Plains Public Access. This is the town of Greenburgh, Paul Finer. This is September 7th, Friday, Aaron's Day. It's a lot hotter down here, folks. A lot hotter than up at the lake where we were. Yesterday it was a perfect day. Perfect weather. Perfect. 75 degrees. Slight breeze. Pure blue sky. Doggy, Rusty. Nice. Oh, it's a nice doggy, Rusty. White Plains Police Station and City Hall. And Justice. Civil.
I'm going to kill the lights in here.
This is White Plains Public Access. And that's their studio. And that was a rude thing that Gary did, but I'm glad I got it on videotape. And these are their tapes, but this is the camera.
You can come and do this without permission.
Oh, I don't need permission. This happens to be a city function.
This is not a city function.
Stop blocking my way. This is typically Gary, and this is why I haven't liked him for years.
Hi.
I do not like that man. He is a nasty person.
You have a good day. Be careful.
He had a bad mother is what his problem is.
Be careful.
Gary Stooks had a bad mother. Gary Stooks had a bad mother. Gary Stoops had a bad mother. Wasn't that nasty what you saw him do? Wasn't that a nasty thing he did? Hi, Rusty. Now we go to the White Plains Post Office. 11:07. I left home 2 hours ago. Here's this apartment house I told you about. It used to be one house, a rooming house. No, I guess it was apartments. Just one little lot. It burned down. Gary Stooks doesn't understand that this is public access. He thinks he owns it. Public access, even more public than most public access, because it's run by the city of White Plains, box 460. That means there's a whole big box full somewhere. Oh, on 51? Yeah. Hi, Betty!
Hi, opening.
Go over there. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Much better. Your prayers. It was your prayers.
Well, one of them. It only takes one. Dance.
Hi there.
How are you?
All right, how are you? Is Steve feeling better?
I don't know the idea.
And I forgot my bag. Fifth time the U.S. Supreme Court has tried to keep our record. is White Plains Public Access. And that's their studio. And that was a rude thing that Gary did, but I'm glad I got it on videotape. And these are their tapes, but this
What's
is the
rude is how
camera.
you can come and do this without permission.
Oh, I don't
without
need
even
permission.
asking.
This happens to be a city function.
This is not a city function.
Stop blocking my way. This is typically Gary, and this is why I haven't liked him for years.
Hi.
I do not like that man. He is a nasty person.
You have a good day. Be careful.
He had a bad mother is what his problem is.
Be careful.
Gary Stooks had a bad mother. Gary Stooks had a bad mother. Gary Stooks had a bad mother. Wasn't that nasty what you saw him do? Wasn't that a nasty thing he did? Hi, Rusty. Now we go to the White Plains Post Office. 11:07. I left home 2 hours ago. Here's this apartment house I told you about. It used to be one house, a rooming house. No, I guess it was apartments. Just one little lot. It burned down. Gary Stooks doesn't understand that this is public access. He thinks he owns it. Public access, even more public than most public access, because it's run by the city of White Plains, box 460. That means there's a whole big box full somewhere. Oh, on 51? Yeah. Hi, Betty!
Hi, over there.
Go over there. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Much better. Your prayers. It was your prayers.
Well, one. It only takes one. Fans.
Hi there.
How are you?
All right, how are you? Is Steve feeling better?
I don't know any idea.
And I forgot my bag. Fifth time the U.S. Supreme Court has tried to keep our record. What the Eastern District of New York did, keep it out of the court. Well, they're just not going to get it. This is about the fifth time I refused it.
Okay, we are sending it back, okay?
What'd you say?
I'm going to send this back.
Oh, thank you. People who do things wrong are afraid to be videotaped. And that's always a good test. See if anybody has a clean conscience. It's the videotape. That's Twyla. Where's Susie? And there's Shelley. And that's Elaine. And that's CNN. County Courthouse, County of Westchester. State of New York. State of injustice. State of denied dual process. Are they hiding from us, two court officers? I think so. Dump de Blasi. Dump de Blasi. Dump de Blasi. Dump de Blasi. There's a White Plains Library. Wonderful library in some respects. That's the color U.S. mailboxes used to be, folks. Khaki. They went red, white, and blue. We got street court officers. This is where Tony Scarpino went, surrogate judge. County of Westchester. Anthony Scarpino from Mount Vernon. Sachs. Lawyer stuff. Disgusting. Sachs. Lawyer land, folks. Lawyer land. Let's get out. It's lawyer. Mercedes-Benz. Billable time. Okay, to the Center for Judicial Accountability at 12:35. What's next, folks? That was the Center for Judicial Accountability. Next, I think it's Mount Vernon High School. This is Broadway and White Plains. I think what we need is the Bronx River. I hope there's no construction. Okay, goodbye White Plains. Next town is Hartsfield. Battle of White Plains, Battle of Battle Hill, rather I should say. There's two different battles. Cross County, West Broad Street. We better go to the bank first. It's the same. Rusty. That's not the same. I'd like to know if Ray moved out. I'd like to know if Alfredo moved out. And took Rusty for a long, reminiscent walk. It's 1:55 p.m. Fed him. Now we'll go to Mount Vernon High School to hand in the tapes. September 7, 2001. Last stop in Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon High School. Looks like things are in session, doesn't it? So Harrison Cablevision is done. We're on the last errand, Connecticut, to Bill Budrow and pick up the Michael Brown tapes and pick up the Norwalk, Connecticut tapes. The time is 2:54. Connecticut welcomes you. Stanford. We're headed for the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. This is Bill Budrow Street. This is the last street on the right because it is the ocean. And it's September 7, 3:15 p.m. This is Shipan Street. Oh, there was a bookmobile. Very big bookmobile. Painted nicely with bookshelves all over it, full of books. This is Stamford, Connecticut. There's an old Lincoln behind us. It must be a 79 or a 78. And there's the ocean. Atlantic Ocean. I don't think this is his road. This one. Right? This is the location from which Acumen ran away. Poor Acumen. He couldn't wait it out. Rusty waited it out. Rusty, as Joe Fiorella says, is a survivor. And here is Bill Budrow's place. And here's the place that the United States Bankruptcy Court and the United States Federal Court in Memphis, the trustee, and all those people are going to put them in jail for so they can steal it. Put them in jail for the rest of their lives so they can steal this estate. Are you going to let them do it, folks? 4.25 million. And the gangsters in the U.S., the anti-U.S. government, are trying to steal it. As well as the one in Mississippi and in California. Hold still, Rusty. Bill Budrow isn't home yet. We filled out the applications for Connecticut again. This time I filled one out from January 1st to March 31st, year 2002. There's 3 seagulls around here and I fed them bread, but they won't come and get it. A helicopter took off from here. Okay, folks, that seagull's still up there, by the way. 10 minutes ago. Still up there. Well, folks, we waited. We waited. We got here at 3:21. It's 4:21 p.m. and we're very, very disappointed that we didn't get to see Bill. So goodbye, Bill. Goodbye, Ackerman, forever. This is where Ackerman was tied up, and he should have waited till we worked it out, but he didn't. And there's where the last I saw him. It's so sad. So goodbye, Ackerman. Goodbye, Bill. Goodbye, Celeste. Goodbye, Billy Christopher. It's 4:21. And we will head north 80 miles. September 7, 2001. Friday. The errands are done. I wish Celeste were here. I wish all this would stop. And all the present blessings, continue. Back to I-95, Connecticut. A total tie-up.
CBS 880 is your primary night station with resources of CBS News and our team of reporters.
At the Sprain in 287. So, trusting in them, I turned off at 287 to get to the Taconic. Bypass it. Could have stayed on 287 and taken the sawmill. Maybe that would have been better. The little spot. Come on, slow down. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Authorities in Duval, Minnesota are charging Tyler J. Brack with manslaughter in the death of his 13-month-old son. They say the boy drowned after Brack pulled him in the bathtub and surfed the internet. This is CBS News. Need weekend plans? Check out the DVD section at Blockbuster. With hundreds of titles to choose from, drama, romance, action, sci-fi, cinema, all for everyone. Come that way to DVD at Blockbuster, bringing entertainment home.
As part of his job, Harry Klemecki climbs towers that are 500 feet tall. Some people are afraid of heights. Okay, so Harry Klemecki isn't afraid of heights. But is he afraid of car insurance that doesn't come with a state farm agent? Car insurance with no state farm agent? Now that scares me. I don't blame you. For car insurance, why take a chance? Go with the reliable service you get with a state farm agent. Please come down now. Good neighbor, State Farm is there.
For an 8-year-old.
Friday afternoon in New York with the sunshine right now.
Of the West Nile virus. More from WCBS's Little Graham Friday on the first human cases of West Nile in Connecticut this year.
One of these confirmed cases is in West Haven, and an elderly woman said to be acutely ill with the disease. The other two cases of West Nile virus, one in Norwalk and one in Central, the other cases in eastern Connecticut. The EP officials have identified mosquito infected with eastern fecal encephalitis, a disease that affects humans as well as horses and can be fatal. State officials say no decision on spraying in any of these areas will be made until early next week. Reporting live from Connecticut, CBS.
expects Bloomberg's campaign to be wiped out by the items in the Bloomberg Joke Book. He describes them as sexist, racist, and homophobic.
People should not vote for a man from Maine who admits to making these statements or who refuses to deny them because it proves that he's unqualified to be mayor of New York City.
Ask whether you ever told an off-color joke behind closed doors.
It's Sunday morning, and it's church time. And Rusty's in his dogmobile, in his luxury doghouse. Nice luxury doghouse. And it's church in the tent, and this is the 6th day of perfect weather. No wind, warm, caressing, sweet, and church in a tent, and 70 degrees. We had to sign up to take our pictures. Remember this for me? Tuesday the 18th at 5:30.
Glendora?
Pax Wobiscum, please pray for Rocky Ruggiero. Rocky Ruggiero.
Friend of ours, John's having open heart surgery tomorrow.
It's been interesting this summer. It's been a very exciting summer here at Hopewell. One of the most exciting summers of ministry, seasons of ministry in my
Didn't. Oh, it's awful. And I told her, what do we have to do? Put you in prison before you understand that public access producers have rights? Make you stop violating these rights? With all your limitations?
Countries, and we have so many problems here at home.
The Matter of Justice is a coalition of organizations and individuals who have banded together and arisen because of the wholesale denial of justice to individual citizens of this country. Justice for citizens of the United States no longer exists. The court system is broken. The courts are now places where corporations engage in expensive litigation against each other while the welfare of the individual citizens is ignored. AMOJ is nonpartisan. Both major political parties are owned by the special interests. They have put judges in place to protect those special interests and who are allied with politicians and the entrenched power of the federal bureaucracy at the expense of the rights of the people. The judiciary has absolute power and no accountability. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The judiciary operates in contempt of the citizens' constitutionally guaranteed right to due process of law. The citizens are left with no recourse. AMOJ was born within the jurisdiction of the United States Court of Appeals for the 4th Circuit in Richmond, Virginia. The 4th Circuit, under Chief Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson III, has exclusive judicial control over the states of Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, North and South Carolina. Even among other judges and lawyers, the 4th Circuit has become known as the most abusive circuit in the country with respect to the rights of individuals. The 4th Circuit tried to eliminate the Miranda warning and refuses to enforce the Civil Rights Act. And other laws which protect citizens' rights are not enforced in the 4th Circuit. That's right. It is not surprising that a matter of justice, AMOJ, arose out of the 4th Circuit. The abuses rampant in the 4th Circuit, however, are going on in courts all over the country. AMOJ is a grassroots uprising against a system in which the outcome of a case depends on which judge you get instead of what the law is. We are tired of judges who decide ahead of time who should win and then proceed to distort the law and the facts of a case accordingly.
Hear, hear.
We are sick of judges who consider the concept of due process something they learned in law school but which they can ignore now that they are judges and can do whatever they please. The court system is a system in which judges and lawyers police themselves and rarely find anyone guilty of anything. Meanwhile, their victims lose freedom, their property, their careers, custody of their children, and in some cases, their very lives as a result of the cavalier attitude of the courts toward an individual's rights. AMOJ demands an end to the corrupt judiciary and its deprivation of basic human rights from the citizens of the United States. AMOJ demands a nonpartisan citizens commission to investigate abuses in the courts and that judges and lawyers be held accountable for these abuses.
Good idea.
Including removal from the bench and jail time in some cases.
Yeah.
AMOJ has specifically called for reopenings and fair rehearings of appeals in the 4th Circuit and is planning to do so in other circuits. AMOJ demands an end to political cronyism in the appointment of judges. AMOJ demands that judges be chosen according to their legal ability and integrity rather than used as a means for political payback. AMOJ demands access to the courts for individuals, not just for rich people and corporations. AMOJ demands respect by the courts for citizens who represent themselves pro se. AMOJ demands an end to years-long litigation, unpublished decisions, and unexplained affirmances by appellate courts. AMOJ deplores the failure of the United States Supreme Court to supervise the lower courts. We are also extremely tired of these 5-4 decisions with certain justices always voting in lockstep. The laws of this country should not be treated as a football game between the two major political parties. The party which controls the court should not be able to hand the U.S. presidency to a candidate who lost the election. Get politics out of the court. We want justice.
Yeah. When I went to college, I can tell you that my idol was Thurgood Marshall. I studied Thurgood Marshall pretty intensely, and I was very excited at the prospect of attending a college, something that he helped make possible for me in this country. Some law students want to become a lawyer, pretty much, for the most part, for the money. And that's kind of bad, in my opinion. There are other college students, however, that are what I call craftsmen and not careerists, and they're interested in reform and change for the better of society. I hope that we can see more college students like that. We want decisions signed by judges, not clerks. We want decisions
signed by judges, not clerks. One more time. We want decisions signed by judges, not clerks.
Thank you, all of you. I'm not going to talk very much about what's all that's wrong with the legal system in America. Many speakers did it here. Many of you have, most of you have your own personal experiences. There are a couple of very fundamental problems with the way the legal system and the government operate in the United States. In a democracy, the government is expected to play the role of a regulator. It's supposed to regulate the problems that exist between the people and the government, between the people and the enterprise, and so on and so forth. It's supposed to protect the people from the internal parasites and from the external parasites and aggressors. The legal system, the judiciary, is supposed to, it has the role sort of the immune system. It plays the role, it's supposed to play the role of the immune system. When the judiciary does not operate properly, when the immune system of the country breaks down, then you get what you see in the United States today. And this is only the beginning. If we do not change what's going on, things will get much worse. And I know how bad things can get. I'm originally from the former Soviet Union. Things can get much worse than they are here today. And I am sure, I have no doubt that they will get worse unless we do something about that. The United States Constitution provides for the separation of powers. The separation of powers is very basic to the operation of the American democracy. There is no separation of power in the United States today. We have three branches of the government inundated with attorneys. The American Bar Association has more say in what the United States government does, in the way the United States citizens are treated, than the citizens themselves. This is a fundamental problem. It has to be remedied. The power has to go back to the people. The legislature should be from the people, for the people, and for the people. Not from the lawyers, by the lawyers, and for the lawyers. These are very fundamental problems, and this organization, the Mayor of Justice, intends to address them. They work very hard, as hard as they can, to bring a positive change to the way the people of this country are treated. Our organization is called the Mayor of Justice for a reason. Our organization is about justice. People are denied justice in America, and we will change that.
My name is Ted Kidd. I'm a resident here in the District of Columbia. That the issues in which I raise are nationwide. They are issues that pertain to the Constitution of the United States. They are issues that also pertain to your states in which you live. Oftentimes we think that we're either state citizens or we are United States citizens. We don't realize that we have both sets of rights. One does not nullify the other. Oftentimes we also have judges now who have crossed the lines. Before, judges, lawyers were supposed to be public citizens. They were supposed to represent us as not public citizens, but they were supposed to represent us as public servants. That is not the case anymore. Lawyers now have changed, and they are actually competing against us in our own cases. They will sell you out. They will sell you out to the defendants. They will sell you out to the plaintiffs. They will sell you out to the businesses. They will take your home. These are the kinds of fights that we have. You can go in and you can actually win a judgment, and you never get paid. But that lawyer will always get paid. He will always get paid. And the enemy, the people, the adversaries who you've gone into the courts to get your rights against will be those people working with the judges and the lawyers to take whatever you do have. We want that changed. We need that change. Here in the District of Columbia, it all stops here. The buck stops right here at the we have to hold our congresspeople accountable as well.
We took our cases and we went into the courts expecting what? That's right. What does it say? Equal justice under the law. Okay? We all expected it. The Constitution requires it. And the courts are supposed to guarantee it. Do they do it? I've got 1,300 docket entries and 58 court cases at the last count. I've never been sanctioned for bad conduct. And they expect us to live by the rules. We have to expect that they do the same thing. And if they don't, it's very clear there should be impeachment hearings and investigations, and the judges should be removed. Thank you, George. And thank you, Jacob, again. Our next guest is McCurdy from the Norfolk, Virginia area. She has uncovered the DACA side of the judicial system. When I have heard what has happened to Attorney Donna Briggs, it's confirmed my worst fears of what this system has degenerated into. It's a system of judicial intimidation, of unmitigated bias, oppression, corruption, and a call to radical action.
Hi, I'm Donna Briggs, and I confess to being an attorney licensed in Virginia. If it's any consolation to those of you who are not attorneys, I contacted 30 different law firms and public interest organizations attempting to get representation in Norfolk, Virginia to sue the police for corruption. And no one would take the case. Whether I had eyewitnesses, it was irrelevant. No attorney was going to touch this case in Norfolk, Virginia. So, knowing, having researched the law and the facts, I felt the case was pretty clear-cut and expected that I would get results fairly quickly. I first filed my case, or part of my case, in the Norfolk Circuit Court in 1997. I have now been through 4 judges in the Norfolk Circuit Court. I have moved to recuse for bias 4 Circuit Court judges, plus eventually, between the 3rd and the 4th, all the remaining judges on the Norfolk Circuit Court. So, the Virginia Supreme Court assigned a judge from Arlington, Virginia, and sent him to Norfolk, and I expected at last I would get a judge who wasn't indebted to the Norfolk Police Department. Instead, in the course of, 10 days, I've been, and this is in March and April, I have been sanctioned. I have been fined $18,000 so far, and don't even have, a trial date. I was sanctioned $14,000 for a 1-digit typographical error in the complaint filed 4 years ago, admitted within a week, and irrelevant to the legal issue. $14,000 to silence me. I've been sanctioned an additional $3,500 for asking too many questions of a police investigator during a deposition in 1998. I think they're trying to tell me something. They are. That. Meanwhile, in the federal court in Norfolk, Virginia, I have moved to recuse 2 judges. I am now facing potential fines of about $300,000. I never got trial. I started a jury trial on what was left after the judges completely butchered my cases. And when it was clear that the jury believed me during my testimony, the judge took the case away from the jury and sent them home in the middle of my testimony. It has been a completely shocking experience to me. I've had federal transcripts altered. I've had sealed records that no one could look at in the federal court but court personnel altered. I've called the FBI. They never call me back. What's going on here? It is a very dangerous situation. I have racketeering charges against the police department and also constitutional pattern claims against the city of Norfolk for violating our First Amendment rights, for retaliating against people who took their complaints to Police Internal Affairs Division. One of my witnesses died 3 days after I noticed him for deposition. Did the FBI ever call me back? No. I filed an affidavit with his obituary in the case file